the trash. We need to crack down on code enforcement, because I ride around all the time in the mornings.
Property that I won't speak to it because I don't want to single anybody out, but they seem to be doing some sort of scrapping, I believe you call it, or salvaging or recycling of metal in their yard. And there's people that live next door, and it's just an eyesore.
I was told when I built that property to go get signs and put it up, and the police department would come, assistant chief later, but they don't do anything. This has been 2 years.
Sir.
And I'm a little tired of it.
All of that stuff ends up inside of hanging out on the corner because things happen at night that shouldn't be. There's no reason why some of the stores should.
Trees trimmed because they're tall and they're growing over in my yard. Question. There's empty
property from my grandfather. This is my issue, and I applaud you. Thank you for coming back. Nothing from what I can see at this point. I showed Mr. McCoy last night when he was over there how the water is still settling right there in that area. Vehicle out of the road. Because I don't know if anybody else said something, but they use 26 Court like it's a raceway. That is the only street in the neighborhood. It's a lot of times because I don't even want them outside. I didn't want them outside before y'all even did the streets. So now that the streets are in this place, I sure as dope. We'll get hit out there one day. Because that street is ridiculous. And again, this was one of the officers that came through there, and I had to jump up on the curb. And I looked back at her, and I was like offended because I said the police truck.
But when they put the road there, I never seen that design. I don't think nobody never seen that design, did you? Nobody never saw that design. It was just a totally different one. And the one that they even sent the one out that they were going to put down, and they didn't do it.
Yes, ma'am. I think so. So what is clear at this point is there has been a lot of confusion. I remember I was on the planning board since 2012.
And they're ugly too.
We were presented with one version, and then there was a different version. Well, the first version gave us the option. Well, no, the first version was one-way streets, and then there was another alternative of property owners potentially folks not too loud.
Didn't want to move
the second option was to give up 5 feet of property on both sides, and then we've seen a design that had for a sidewalk on one side of the street that would allow for 2 lanes of traffic and then possibly on-street parking only on one side of the road.
Right.
Ma'am, I can commit to you that I know that there's a problem, but I don't want to speak to what happened in the past. Because honestly, I've only been here 90 days.
I know you didn't.
Let's go forward, right?
Yeah, I know.
And we're gonna workshop this item, right? Because I've told the manager, and this is his 3rd day now, right?
Okay.
Third.
I got one more question there. This thing they have in the road, okay?
It's a sidewalk.
No, the sidewalks and this little the little strip they have in the middle of the street.
The sidewalk.
No, it's not the.
So
the drain. the drain in the street.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to let you know you have an amenity no other city has. Yeah. You got 3 sidewalks. Okay, but yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it is so ugly because it's high. You know what I mean? And it's hard, probably hard on your tires too, and it's hard to back in and out of your house. Are they going to level that out and smooth it out and make it better?
I believe so.
Yes.
Are they going to do that?
Yes, we are.
And then, of course, if you look at from the park up to I live on 26th Street. If you get the road from the park up to Barack Obama, that street is even nice. It don't even it's not even designed like the streets that they have there, and they look different. Yes, it look right. It's terrible. So are they going to do the sidewalks again too? Because you got white sidewalks, a white drain in the middle, and black tar on the road. So you got black and white streets.
Asphalt. Well, I know as painful as it is, it's really a joy to see that we can get some laughter out of, a situation that's not the best. So,
really quick, Councilman McCoy and I, we have an item here that we're going to workshop this item with the board because we have to look at all the items that you have brought to our attention and how do we ultimately resolve the issues. Because at the end of the day, whatever the road looks like, good, bad, or indifferent, you as the taxpayers have to pay for the workmanship. And so if you're not comfortable or proud or it's not practical or it doesn't work, we have to be honest with ourselves to say, let's look at some solutions and ways to correct the issue. So one of the things that we certainly want to do is have the discussion with the council and bring forward the project to have the discussion and then get direction as to how the council wishes to proceed. And even the baby's upset with, things. But I do want to recognize Senator Bobby Powell and then Representative Al Jaquette for being here. We're certainly fortunate to have representatives in Tallahassee that are involved in what's happening here in Riviera Beach. But we certainly want to make sure that we have that discussion with the council, bring forward some solutions and some opportunities to correct some of those issues that you may have. Please make sure that you provide your contact information to Ms. Davis so we can inform you as to what's going on. On another issue, I know folks had communicated some concerns with regards to, the cleanliness of the community and some police issues and those types of things. One of the things that on my second day on the job, we had a discussion with the acting chief of police about our nuisance abatement program. And our nuisance abatement program right now doesn't possess some of the teeth that we need to address some of the concerns we have in our community. Because we want to take a very stern approach that if you are going to cause issues in the neighborhood, we're not going to tolerate. And then we will take every measure necessary to take possession of the home if the issues are not corrected. So we are going to look at what authorities that we have in our code and make some modifications, because you deserve a community that's safe. You deserve streets and sidewalks that are traversable, but we are going to take every step necessary to make sure that we address those problem areas in our neighborhood. And folks know that if you're going to come to Riviera Beach, there's consequences if you cannot conduct yourself as an adult in our communities and making sure our communities are safe. So we will be having future conversations with the board about our nuisance abatement program and things we can do to clean up our neighborhood. But we certainly, relative to this project, we are going to bring this before the council. I don't know if Councilman McCoy wants to do the door hangers, because that's very effective and it's a good way for our city wellness program. So I may go out with him to make sure we put notices on your doors to inform you as to when the meeting happens. But having the conversation now is great, but we need to continue to have the conversation. And when the board sits down there and has to make a decision whether we have to look at putting more money on this project to correct it, they need to hear your comments in a public forum such as this so they can make informed public policy decisions. So we are going to have another conversation with the board as a collegial body, and ultimately they'll make a policy direction and provide staff. The things that you have communicated as far as the alleyways and trash and debris, the Public Works Director is now on notice that we will have crews out there tomorrow to correct those issues. I've asked the acting assistant city manager to make contact with the contractor and get the sand and silt off the roadway. They said that they're waiting till the end of the project or till they're done with the driveways. I want it cleaned up now, and they can come back and clean it again. They work for us. So we're going to make sure we take that approach, and she's already going to make the phone call. So we're going to take the steps necessary to spruce up the neighborhood. If we miss something as crews are out there tomorrow, certainly feel free to give us a call at City Hall, and we'll get out there and we'll get the issue resolved.
Mr. Israel, and then I want to make sure. Go ahead, Mr. Israel.
Okay. Well, Brother Jonathan, let me just say this. We might need to give Deidre a raise, because you said she's the acting city manager, so you might have to give her a raise. I don't know if you meant to say that. You know, I want to definitely thank Councilman Trodrick McCoy. He's been called on multiple occasions in Monroe Heights area, and he has came every time. I don't know. I think he's had the whole city staff there
looking at the issues in the Monroe Heights area. I also want to say how imperative it is for the community to stay engaged. See, we can't wait till things happen, but we have to stay engaged. Now, the Monroe Heights area, this inverted crown has really just kind of decimated areas in our community. And most of the community is not aware that whoever made the decision for inverted streets to do that. I'm truly not opposed to correcting the inverted streets because it's something that does not add to the community. I don't know what the cost is, but it takes away from the community. And we really should have unified streets throughout the whole city. When people come to our city, they should see all the beautiful streets throughout Riviera Beach. I think it's wonderful that Singer Island have an area that has concrete streets, but I think all of Riviera Beach should have concrete streets, not just a particular area. Now, when it came to, it's kind of difficult to see such beautiful work done on Singer Island, and then you come to the Monroe Heights area and put this design that the community don't like, and we just, it's just not right. We have a lot of senior citizens in the Monroe Heights area. We've had people fall because of the driveways. It just seemed like there was no consideration for whoever made the decision when it came to the Monroe Heights. Now, when I go over on Singer Island, which is wonderful, but when they had designed driveways, they put it back just like it was. When they come to Monroe Heights, those who had designed driveways, they didn't put it back. Now, there are some senior citizens who was approached, who had designed sidewalks, and they convinced the senior citizen to accept that kind of work. The senior citizens are supposed to be the golden years, and we really have to take much better care of them than we do. We should do everything to make them feel comfortable. Now, there's quite a few people, for whatever reasons, couldn't make it out. And I wasn't really going to say anything, but I got several calls. Please say these concerns. And I really appreciate Trodrick McCoy for the work that he has done. He's literally walked door to door by himself, hanging door hangers for us to come to the meeting. So we need to go back in the Monroe Heights area and tell the residents who didn't come, we need to come to the meetings. If we'd have been more involved, possibly this would not have happened. Now, we fought hard to get in a new council. We fought hard to get Jonathan back. And it's really time for the good people in Riviera Beach to come together to work to make our city the kind of city we want it to be. Don't expect our existing city council to do it by themselves. We have to support them. Now, if Trodrick gonna come walk the streets, at least we can come support him. Does that make sense? But I really want to thank what you're doing. I want to thank, good gracious, many times I call your name, Jeff, for coming out and viewing this stuff for yourself. Is Ms. Wellens here? Monique Wellens? Where's she at? I just want to say this here. This is the first urgent care that we had to come to Riviera Beach. Pull in there. She kind of shy. You're going to have to pull her in. But, oh, there she is. Hold her hand. I see her acting shy. That's Dr. Wellens. She brought to Riviera Beach the first urgent care, and we want to make sure that she is successful. So it's going to take us to go to the business to make it successful. I really want to emphasize, and I see you looking at me. I know what that means. The community is going to have to stay involved. This message should go out throughout Riviera Beach that we got to get behind our existing council and our, in my district, Trodrick McCoy. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to take one more comment from Ms. Bram. And at this point, if we haven't addressed your concerns or you haven't told me, I'm going to ask, a couple staff members that I designated to make themselves available out in the vestibule in the event that we haven't already addressed it. After you, Ms. Bram. Oh, definitely after you. To make ourselves available to get your contact information and find out what issues or concerns you may have, because I want to move to the public safety component, because I only gave you a little taste. I didn't feed you, so you can't sleep here tonight, and they're going to put us out after a while. So go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Hi, good evening. I am definitely concerned for all the residents in this area. As you see, everybody know Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown works with them all. But what has gone on, it is unacceptable. That's where it falls at. How we come to litigate this and make it better, then you as a governing board and city manager must do that. But it takes a collaborative body, just like Amon said, for everybody to come together and come to this table so that we can get the things that we deserve. This was a shady job. I make no bones. They should be fired. I make no bones. I make no apologies. If we are to do better, we must have betterment. I often say that skill set and that professionalism. See, that's what helps moves us. We do have a good board. I'm satisfied with this board here. And I think the community is satisfied also. We're satisfied with Mr. Jonathan Evans. See, I call him Mr. I know I'm older than he is, but he is Mr. Jonathan Evans. And that is who he is. And we're proud of him. And we're proud of the board. And we're proud of all of our other elected officials. I like what Mr. Jonathan Evans said. You work for us. We do not work for you. We are the watchmen in the tower that make sure that you're working on our behalf. The sidewalk out there is still there, unmanned. That's 2 weeks. That's unacceptable. Don't you just have to pour concrete in there? So get on your jobs. And if you can't do your job, then let the dough hit you in your back. Because we want to go to higher grounds in this city. That's just all it is to it. So if you can't do the job, don't get mad when somebody else comes in and do the job that you were paid to do and did not do it. We will not settle for less anymore. We have been deprived long enough.
Well, and
Thank
I agree.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. And I agree. There has been some things that have been neglected and overlooked. But I can tell you, and I know, let me tell you something. I know I have confidence in our board. Let me tell you, we've done enough meetings in the first 90 days. and some municipalities have done in 2 years. You hear what I'm saying? So I know that we are definitely committed. But just know, folks, we human. Our staff is human. And sometimes, a lot of this work is done by contractors. And when we get out in those communities, those people just want to work and they're not concerned. So we have to be on top of them. And trust me, I don't think Mr. Amon was exaggerating. I actually literally walked, and I wanted to make sure that I touched everybody that I could. And many of these people did see me come to the door. So listen, if we haven't addressed your concerns regarding road construction, I would just simply ask if you can go to the vestibule out in the foyer area, and then a staff person can take your information. I want to move forward. There is some concerns, and Mr. Pleasant brought them up regarding public safety around retail, and I spoke of them. I'm sorry. Thank you so much. Mr. Bailey, don't go far, because these people do know who you are. You are the Public Works Director. And I'm really grateful. Thank you, Mr. Santa. It's been a pleasure having you to help us through some of these issues, but there is going to be more conversations, more phone calls, and we're going to have to definitely come up with some solutions to address these issues because they're on me, right? And what I can commit to them is that we're going to find out something to address their issues. So I appreciate your support and what you have done, and even taking those early before 8 o'clock in the morning phone calls about some of these issues. So thank you so much, but we will be workshopping this item going forward. Thank you, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Sanon. So from the public safety aspect, Sergeant Menard, thank you for coming out, and I've seen a few members of the community policing and also school resource officers. What's important to me is definitely public safety, and I know we heard a couple times tonight about some of the issues with traffic and speeding in residential neighborhoods and traffic calming devices. Folks, call the police. Let me tell you how important that is. I just inherently was doing my normal routine, and I ran right into a scene that was pretty graphic over the weekend, and I'm still traumatized from what I've seen. And immediately I called 911, and they respond very quickly. I know we've had recently a tragic accident with a shooting in our community, and what I can say is, I was really impressed at Riviera Beach. We've come a very long ways. Just compared to where we were last year this time, I think, Chief, if I'm correct, somewhere around 75% reduction in violent crimes and shootings in our city. Now, there's no perfect city. We all recognize that. But what I can say is, if you see something, you have to say something. Don't assume, and I really feel bad. If you take the Parkland shooting, for example, the one officer that was criminally charged for child neglect because he heard shooting. I mean, sometimes when you hear shots, right, you don't really know where they come from. So to some degree, I reason with him, and I feel bad that it happened to him. But the police can't be everywhere all the time, and we have budgetary constraints. So when things happen, don't expect that we know as a city or the police department is supposed to know. But to that end, I want to also allow the chief to speak to some of the crime reduction that is taking place and some of the statistics, and also some of the community policing efforts that's going to be going forward, especially going into the new school year. I know for some of you that don't know, we don't have one school this year. Washington Elementary students are now being moved to Lincoln Elementary, and I know I had this conversation with Chief Madden. So they're rebuilding Washington Elementary, and those students are going to be temporarily housed at Lincoln Elementary. But still, we're going to definitely need to address the school safety in the school zones, and I want everybody to be cognizant of it because there is going to be an increased effort, being that there's no texting and driving. These are our little ones, so we have to protect our future and our children. So, Chief Rozier, if you can speak to some of the public safety initiatives that your officers and department are undertaking.
Good evening, everyone. I am Spencer Rozier. I'm currently your acting chief of police. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I love to see this kind of participation at meetings. Like they said, the only way we're going to get these problems solved if we all work together. That's include you letting us know what we can do better and us bringing things to your attention, what we're doing, so we can educate you and let you know some of the efforts that we are making day in and day out. So one of the things I want to start off doing before I say anything else is thank the officers that are here now. They didn't have to be here. They're here because they care about the community. I got the traffic sergeant, Sergeant Fashaw, Sergeant Menard, Officer Borum, Officer Phillips. Yeah. And also staff. Mrs. Franklin is out here too. She's a part of our staff, and she's very active in the community also. So some people know me, maybe others don't. But my name is Spencer Rozier, and I am a product of this community. I grew up in Monroe Heights. I went to, I don't know what they call it now. They call it Kitty Homes at the time, the daycare center right on 25th and PBO. I went to West Riviera Elementary School. I also went to John F. Kennedy Middle School. They bused us to Palm Beach Gardens. So that's the only time I got outside of the community. But it was funny. I was talking to an Air Force buddy of mine that I met 36 years ago. I never forget. I was trying to find a way to better myself. I knew my grandparents who raised me didn't have enough money to send me to college, so I had to figure out a way where I could get on my feet and not be a burden to them. So long story short, I ended up going to the Air Force. One of my buddies I met in there, his name is Ralph Patterson. He called me last night. He said, Spence, because I told him about the promotion. Called me back. He said, Spencer, it's 36 years to the day that we graduated. Remember, he's a good historian, so he remembered all these things. Graduated from the Air Force Police Academy. We were just learning how to be police officer, and now you're in a position of being the acting chief. So it kind of put everything in perspective for me, because you kind of think about your journey, and as your time go on, you're just thinking about the next steps you have to take to keep progressing. But he reminded me where I came from and, the circumstances we came out of. So to me, this is not just a job for me. This is a passion for me. Where I'm from, I remember working, I was one of the first African-American officers to work in the town of Palm Beach. And I remember working there. I remember sitting there, beautiful community. You couldn't pick a more beautiful place and all that. But my thoughts always were back with Riviera Beach. I say, someday, hopefully, I'll be able to go back and serve the community I grew up in. I feel blessed to have that opportunity now. So, that being said, maybe I won't take it so hard on me and give me a little break. I know you won't, and that's okay, though. That's okay. I can take it. My grandmother, Mary Elizabeth Rose, she was a tough lady, so I'm used to taking the heat. So, but I just want to stress some of the things that the officers do. I'm so very proud of the officers we have. They do a great job day in and day out. When we hear all these serious calls going on, when I first got here, I was like, okay, maybe Sundays is a good day to stay in the office and get some paperwork done and things like that. I was trying to plan out how I would get things done. Well, you can't pick what day things are going to happen on. I've been here on a Sunday, Easter Sunday morning where someone was killed out in Stony Brook. So you never know when it's going to go down. And when I first got here, I was just jumping in my car trying to run everywhere. I hear a call go out, somebody got a knife and this and that, and and before I could even get there, the officers already had it under control and nothing happened, and you never hear about those things. That's the kind of job they do. When the calls go out, serious calls, they're going straight to that call to try to help somebody. I'm so proud of the officers we have and the good work they do. But can we do better? Yes, we can. That's the whole point of it. Keep striving for excellence. That's the only thing I've ever known. Criticism doesn't bother me because my expectation for myself is higher than anybody else. So if you criticize me, that lets me know I need to get better. I need to try harder. And that's what it's all about, us working together. I want to applaud the officers. They do a lot of work in the community. You got the community policing officers here. They do work day in and day out with helping us build better relationships within the community, including some of the work that we do with the youth empowerment program. We've done events with them out in Cunningham Park. I went with them. We went over to St. George's Church where we've not only helped feed the homeless, but we sat down and ate with them to get to know them, had great conversations with them. And it's many, many other things that they do, including our SROs, which are school resource officers. They do a lot of good work in the communities and at the schools, and get to know the kids, and you'd be surprised some of the information that the kids will give them once they feel comfortable with the officers. We were able to get to the bottom of some serious issues they were facing within their homes. So I applaud them also. We got our traffic units. Usually they're the ones in the school zones enforcing the traffic laws during the school is in the mornings and things like that. But they're making a sacrifice right now. When summer comes, we know that certain crime picks up in the summertime because our kids are out of school. Certain criminal activity pick up. So we've shifted their whole work schedule where they're working in the evening where these crimes occur. We call that our summer breeze operation. It's been very successful. Stop everything from happening? No. But like Councilman McCoy was saying, for the first half of this year, we had only had one verified homicide. Unfortunately, just recently we had another one. Any homicide, any violent crime is a tragedy. You know, we wish we could prevent them. Try our very hardest to do that. Sometimes just don't know where it's going to happen, when and where, but we try our best to try to prevent these things and develop intelligence information and work with other agencies, try to prevent and eradicate a lot of the crime that's out there. But we can't do any of this without your help. You know, if we go to a scene of a shooting or violent criminal activity, you know, shot spotter and all of those things help us get there quickly. But if we don't have the cooperation and assistance by the community, a lot of times those crimes are very, very hard to solve. Then we have to just try to basically depend upon our technology and things like that to try to solve the crime, where you may have 10 or 15 witnesses that saw what happened and could help us out. So it's very important for the community and the police department to work together to help solve and eradicate some of the crime. Those are some of the things we do day in and day out, but I'm definitely open for any questions or comments you have, because, again, that helps us get better. Davis.
I'm going to bring up again, I had to do some undercover drug watching myself, okay? I want to know how you guys are going to come up with a scheme or a plan or whatever to solve all of these drug issues in the neighborhood. Because I was taking pictures and watching people. I would sit on the porch and watch drug dealers come through, buying pills or selling pills or stuff like that. And, you know, we got a lot of this stuff going on, and we need to have some kind of undercover stings. I know we have, not going to say on the streets that you can see, but we need to come up with a plan. I mean, I don't have any problems with telling and watching, because I watch my street. So I just want you to come up with some kind of plan to get rid of these drugs on the streets, because they're selling them in the stores. They're selling 34th Street store. 28th Street is one of the worst. So I'm telling you, you guys need to come up with something. Put the SWAT team to use.
Let me ask you, Ms. Davis, did you report that drug sale that you saw? Okay. That's where we need your help on. Let me just address her concern real quick. Like I said, we can't be everywhere all the time. And when you have these incidents happen, we're relying on the community to work with us to help us know what's going on in your area. Okay. But just to kind of let you know, and I can't tell you all get into the operation that we do, but our investigative unit do a lot of that type of work in all the communities in the city. It's multiple raids. I can't even count the number of raids that we do where we get reports of drug sales, and it's primarily when we get information from citizens to let us know what's going on. We're able to watch the house or wherever it's happening and develop enough evidence to establish probable cause where we can go in and do the raids you're talking about, which I see, we call it the hot sheet. I see those all the time where we are doing things like that. But I'd be happy to know about the specific areas you're talking about so we can address those issues.
To build on some of the comments that the chief made, obviously everyone knows that we have an exceptional law enforcement and public safety team, and we have equally exceptional public works and utility district employees that are here this evening that, you know, are out there all hours of the evening. But one of the things that I will do as I address the employees here in the next week is encourage them that as they're out in the community and they see something that may be questionable, to report that information to law enforcement, because we have over 500 pieces of rolling stock. So let's just say conceivably there's 300 vehicles that we have out and about in the community. At any particular time, we may have 8 or 10 officers out there in the community, but I have hundreds of other vehicles and other employees and other eyes out in our community. So one of the things that I'm going to challenge the employees to do is if they see something, to say something, to report it, so that we're always policing our community and we utilize our employees, our most valuable asset, to help us combat some of these issues so that this community is constantly being watched. So that's something that is not traditional in most government entities, but I want the employees, as they have already done, to take ownership in this community and their job, but also assist their peer agency in addressing some of the concerns that you all have communicated this evening.
It's been going on for about a year and a half since Chief Williams left. I think it's been a year and a half. I need to know, when are we going to address the chief situation? I know it's been a hot topic. I like our chief we got now. And I just want to put that out there, that I've been advocating for Major Rozier since I ran for council, and I just, not to put you on the seat, but yeah, to put you on the seat, that I would very much like to get something stable so that we can really move forward with our police department, and my vote is just to have Spencer Rose.
Well, to kind of bring everyone up to speed, we have over, I think, a total of 80 vacancies in the organization. We have multiple vacancies in executive leader positions. Right now, I have Ms. Jacobs that's serving as the acting assistant city manager, and we have acting chief Rozier. But as it relates to the police chief, one of the things that I want to do is similar to the process that I believe is important for this community, is that the selection for the police chief position is not going to be a selection that Jonathan makes in a vacuum. One of the things that I will tell you that we will do is we will post the position and we would accept applications and we will narrow it down to who we believe is the top candidates for the position. We will have a public reception where you will have an opportunity to hear from each of the candidates that are going to be considered for the position. There will be a public interview where they will be asked questions. There will be a mock scenario or circumstance that they will have to give me their input and feedback on how they would handle the issue. And then ultimately, with all that body of information, they will be interviewed by the law enforcement officers as they will be involved in the discussion, because I don't want to select a chief that I select. I don't want you to say, there is the police chief. I want you to say, there is our police chief. And the only way that happens is if the employees and the community and all the stakeholders have some say in the process. But it is something that here in the next 30 days is a priority for me to look at some key positions and addressing the concerns that are in the organization. Like I have communicated to Chief Rozier, he has my full support in serving in this role, and we are meeting with respect to what my leadership philosophy is. I had the opportunity to work with him my first stint, and so we're going to continue that progress, but we're going to move pretty quickly on some key vacancies. But I can assure you there's going to be multiple conversations and opportunities with the community to interact with the candidates for the police chief, as it is an important position for the community.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Scott. I work for Public Works. I'm speaking as a resident and an employee. I'm here tonight to thank God you're here. But also I'm here because I have some, not only me, but I have some employees here that came to support. We want you to see who we are. We have the support of Mr. Evans. We know what we could say and do now. We are here to show you our face, and the guys that's in the back, I want to recognize them. I don't want them to Now, they're my co-workers. You got Mr. Grady Burns, Mr. Reese Green, Mr. William Stewart, Mr. Ricky Sapp. These are some of the employees. We're here because we are concerned, because we do work for you. And we're here because we want you guys to know, when you see us ride by in the truck, a lot of you do know me, I think, because you stop us. But we're going to work with Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans, before he was going to start a program where you know me and I know you. And that was going to be an awesome program. And I'm here to make sure he remembers that we want you, when we're riding through the neighborhood, you're allowed to stop us. But I know we're going to have some meetings. He already explained. I know how he works. He's going to have some meetings where when you stop me, you're not going to get frustrated, because sometimes you guys stop me and say, can you fix my water? And I work in public works. And I don't do water, and I don't know nothing, so you get angry. Are you here to cut off my water? But if we educate you on how the trucks are, what PW 1510, that's my truck. That means I can do certain things like the alleyways, just potholes, the tree trimming, and all that. And then we have another truck that has different symbols on it that means different things. But if the citizens was educated on what that, say, let me see, oh, that's a PW, that means that can cut my alleyway. Let me stop them. So, because I know sometimes you guys get frustrated when you stop us and we can't do what you say. But if we educate you, but we want you to not only know the trucks, but know our faces as employees for you. And we know the frustration. We hear it all the time. But these guys, I know they're a little shy, but they can come on. And also, Mr. Evans, we have something that we have been praying over. When you left the last time, it broke our heart. And they had us to move. We also do moving. We do a lot of stuff for the city. We do everything with miscellaneous. And they had us to move the stuff out of City Hall. And one thing we held on to as a team is your signature mount. We prayed over this. We kept it. We held on to it. So we want to present it back to you as your stamp.
Okay, there we go. No, that just goes to show you the remarkable folks that we have in our organization. But, to Mrs. Scott's comments, I've done a lot of customer service training and those types of things. And one of the best entities when you look at customer service training is you can look at the Publix model and you can look at the Nordstrom model. And I went and actually met with the manager of Nordstrom's. And I asked some questions, and I said, how do you deal with employees that have issues? And they're like, we don't have it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have employees that have issues? They said, if an employee cannot resolve another dispute with another employee, they can't resolve my customer's concerns, so they don't work here. And so I said, well, that's a great concept. And when I walked into the manager's office, the word yes was on the back of the wall. And she said, my job is to try to leave where every customer can get that answer. And what they do is they empower their employees to make decisions. And that's one thing that we are going to do, empower our employees to make decisions. That if Ms. Scott or the Public Works Department pulls up on a curb and there's an issue and you are the resident or complaining about the issue, they don't have to say, let me go back to the Public Works yard and get an answer and then has to go through this bureaucratic chain. No, they're going to be empowered to make that decision. And if they make a decision that we may not have liked, we coach them up on the opportunity to say, well, I wouldn't have handled it this way, but they made the decision that if they exercise good judgment in all circumstances, I will always support our employees. And we have to understand that we're not managing ourselves, that we have to give employees the opportunity to learn, to make mistakes, and to grow, but to empower them to get out there and learn about the community and the operation. So I can tell you that in the time that I left the organization, I had an opportunity to do a lot of reflecting. And before I can tell you, I used to be a person that if I saw your performance evaluation, all my performance evaluations were stellar. And then when I got terminated, it changed the way I looked at things because my job used to define me. Now I define my job. My job is what I do. It's not who I am. And I can tell you when I see an application or a resume from somebody that's been terminated or displaced, I said, hey, maybe that person stood up for something. Maybe they went through something and fought for something that they believed in and they had unwavering principles. So maybe that is the person I want to hire. So one of the things that I tell folks that probably what happened to me the first time was the best thing that happened to me because I've been able to learn and grow as a person. And you can see the respect and admiration that the employees and I have because we are a team. That Jonathan Evans is the city manager, but Jonathan Evans is no more valuable than any employee that we have in the organization. And we need to provide the employees the resources and the support and the commitment to know that if they have an issue or concern that they can come and communicate with us. But we are going to empower our employees that when you see our employees, they're going to be smiling. When you see our law enforcement officers, they're going to be smiling. Come and visit us at City Hall. Don't wait till you have an issue. Come see the amazing folks that you have working in your operations because I can tell you some of the best people that I've ever worked with in my entire career and ever interacted are in this community. We just have not taken the top off and allowed for them to meet their full potential. And so I'm excited about the work. We know there's a lot of work ahead. There's a lot of meetings that still are on the horizon, but I have confidence and full faith in this board's ability to understand that we're here to do a job and we're going to make you proud about the job we're going to do. And we're going to make this community the envy of every other community. So Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm, all the other communities, they're going to be looking and say, you know what? What is Riviera Beach doing? And we're going to make you all proud. I promise you that. We're going to give everything we have. Huh? You're going to get a raise? Huh? That's not my decision. That's a policy decision. The board has to put it in the budget. I can recommend it.
I see a few questions. Ms. Polk, Mr. Franklin, and yes, ma'am. So in that order. And then we're going to be bringing it in for a landing here soon. And I wanted to kind of close up with a couple things. So don't leave out yet. Don't leave, Madam Chair.
Good evening. My name is Doretta Polk, and I just wanted to bring up an issue that in the last month, Ms. Graham was after leaving one of the meetings, she was approached by another citizen, and it frightened her. And I brought up the issue that when we come into these meetings, although we do have the metal detectors, but then we still need police officers, just as they are here, which they're fine officers also, that we need them when we're coming in for our safety and when it's dark, going out. We need this to happen. I know Ms. Deidre Jacobs, she was awesome, an awesome acting city manager, but we are glad you're back, and hats off to her. She did a marvelous job. But we need this protection. Mr. Evans, we need protection for all of us.
We will certainly work with law enforcement to make sure that there's personnel in the parking lot as people exit the meeting. And thank you for your comments to Ms. Jacobs.
Yes.
I joked around with her. I said, why do you need me to come back? You're doing a great job.
Excellent. No, we needed you to come back. And we're very
That's what she
proud
said.
and glad that you are back.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you
what she
very
said.
much.
She told me you better get back here. So,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Good evening. For those that don't know me, My name is Ralph Franklin. I'm a retired police major for this great city, Riviera Beach Police Department. I worked here 31 hard years. I started back in the heydays when we didn't have walkie-talkies. I was promoted major, which would be third in charge of the police department. It's amazing, I got two heroes here. I'm going to start with Haines City, Florida first. When I first came to Haines City, Florida, I gave up saying Haines City. I said, I'm from Lakeland. Nobody knew Haines City at, and you from Haines City. This man from Haines City, Florida, one of my boys. This man right here, Mr. Rozier, I've been knowing him since a little young boy. As he progressed over in town of Palm Beach, I became a hero. I monitored him. I watched him. As I got promoted, he was getting promoted. I have so much respect for this police department. I love him to death. Last night, about 8:30, Joe Newman and I was talking about the speed on Avenue S. Late this afternoon, I got a phone call, a nervous phone call. The traffic guys on Avenue S writing tickets. Chief, I want to commend you. This man here going to hit the ground running, I'm telling you. I know it. Hearts for hearts, I worked with a lot of Chief Mr. Evans. Probably in my career, about 15 of them. One thing about Riviera Beach, we trained real hard. We should be proud of the City of Riviera Police Department. When guys leave our department, they go to the Sheriff Department, West Palm, they come promoted. I've had Chief Police tell me, send me some more. Be proud of the city here. This is a great city. I used to find all sometimes criticizing the police department. If it's so bad, go somewhere else. They never left. When I retired, they were still there. Thank you very much, everybody. Love you. Appreciate you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Deborah Allen. I am new to Riviera Beach. I've been here now about maybe a year and a half. I brought my house over on 37th and 37th Court off of O. I'm in the middle of the construction that's getting ready to happen on Silver Beach Road. I'm glad to see you back, Mr. Evans. I don't know you. This is my first time meeting you. I'm glad, Cedric, that you are now one of our council members. I've watched what's been going on in this city since I've moved here. And initially, I must say, I was very disappointed. And some of the things that you've been talking about, for instance, I was a city employee who came here looking to do the right thing. And I got dismissed with a two-line letter of dismissal. And once I took it to the employment office, I could have sued the city because I was improperly dismissed. But I'm like, it wasn't worth it to me to go through all that. What is worth it for me is to see that the people who run this city do the right thing. And as Mr. Evans said, this is the city of Riviera Beach. It's not Singer Island. It's Riviera Beach. And if you're on the council, you are a member to represent both sides of that bridge, both on the west side and the east side. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't let anyone dissuade you. Keep focused, because you're going to have a lot coming at you. And then as the citizens of Riviera Beach, be a little softer with them. So I sit home sometime and I watch the meetings that go on. Every time they have a meeting, I lay in my bed and I watch. And y'all are not easy. Y'all are not easy. And they are trying so hard. I told Commissioner Trodrick McCoy that he was the first person that I seen that put a thank you sign after he was elected in office. He put a thank you sign. I didn't see yours. If I didn't see yours, I'm sorry, but I saw yours. And I just thought that that was wonderful to thank the people who voted for you. And I'm not ashamed to say I voted for each and every one of you that won that election. Me and my husband sit on our couch and we We did our background investigation to see who we were going to vote for, and each of you won. And I just want to say welcome, be strong, and continue to do the right thing.
Thank you, Ms. Allen, and Councilwoman Botel, and also Councilwoman Kashava Miller-Anderson. They all put in it, so I'm standing on their shoulders. I'm a copycat, so they did it. They did it first. So I think we had a really great meeting. But let me tell you, folks, there's always this saying that they always want to have a meeting, but there has to be follow-up. So hopefully everybody got a magnet or contact information. Really my honor. So it's not just thank you. It's an honor to serve. Even though you say they hard on us, they are hard on us. They knock on your door. They find you in the grocery store. But you know what? It's an honor to serve, and I really appreciate this opportunity. So in Mr. Evans' word, good, bad, or indifferent, it's truly a blessing to be here. And that's what I want to do, even if we can't always agree on a common ground. And thank you, Mr. Bruce Herring, for sending me those text messages during those meetings to make sure that I'm on track or let me know I should be bringing up this. So it's always important that people give us feedback because we're not perfect and, nobody knows everything. To that point about S Avenue, is Mr. Bailey here still? I think he might have stepped out, but we are addressing the concerns on S Avenue regarding speeding, and I know that there's been increased traffic enforcement efforts. But I was remiss, so let me apologize. I want to recognize Mr. Commissioner John Linden from the town of Lake Park, our neighboring city. Please forgive me. We had a drastic accident out here, and I was trying to catch up. I was sweating. for the first 30 minutes because I was so nervous. So I apologize. And welcome. Thank you for coming. It's really a blessing to have our neighbors from next door. We really want to be good neighbors to the town of Lake Park, and we have some things coming up, certainly along the Broadway corridor. So if there's nothing else for the good of the order, I want to recognize Commissioner Lawson for an announcement regarding your event that you have coming up this Thursday. Let's receive him, Commissioner. Let's receive Commissioner Lawson.
Councilman, thank you so much. Folks, this is what we need. This is exactly what we need to do on a regular basis. So, Councilman McCoy, thank you for setting this initiative. Welcome home, sir. As we get to work, we actually have an event right here in Cunningham Park. It's going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. It's an event, it's going to be a series, community conversation. It's going to be on the documentary, the movie, When They See Us. We're going to be having a discussion to talk about anti-bullying, talk about community policing, to talk about the rights that we have as citizens for our children and as adults. So I want everyone to try to come out on Thursday at 6 p.m. It's going to be a 4-part series, 6 to 8 p.m., and we're going to be having a panel discussion to just talk about the rights and work together as a community to help continue to uplift and build our community. So we'll be playing the movie from 6 to 7, and then a panel discussion will be from 7 to 8 o'clock. Okay? Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Pro Tem Dr. Julia Botel for an announcement.
As I know it's televised, and although I do represent, let me see who spoke about Singer Island. Oh, I do represent the whole community of Riviera Beach, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I am having a town hall meeting on Thursday evening. Unfortunately, it's in conflict with my colleague's event, which I would love to be able to attend, but I can't be everywhere. So I'm having my town hall meeting on Thursday evening from 6 o'clock, probably till about 7:30. And then I know that Mr. McCoy has an announcement about some special event we're having on Sunday.
Thank you. So this coming Sunday, we are having a formal meet and greet for our returning city manager, Mr. Jonathan Evans, at the Riviera Beach Marina Event Center. And the public is invited. I believe we're starting at 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 to 6. This Sunday, food, music at the Riviera Beach Marina Event Center. So please, everyone's welcome to come out. Madam Chair. Okay. And again, this is my final comments. I want to thank you, and I'm going to give the microphone over to our city manager, Ms. Jacobs. You want to come up and sing a solo for us? And thank you again, Ms. Deirdre Jacobs. She really did quite a bit for us. Thank you so much for everything. She should stand up. Okay, she doesn't want to be seen. Mr. Evans?
Well, again, I can't thank Ms. Jacobs enough, and you know, it's a running joke. My executive assistant in Madeira Beach saw that Ms. Jacobs was given the opportunity to serve as the acting city manager. And so they were like, well, you think they'll give me an opportunity here in Madeira Beach? So I said, well, you know, I would have to say maybe by osmosis that's what happened. But no, Ms. Jacobs has been a phenomenal administrator, great friend, great mentor. And so certainly the organization is fortunate to have her. But before we close tonight, certainly, again, thank you all for taking the time to be with us. Thank you for sharing your comments and concerns. I know that Mr. McCoy and the board will make sure that this item is discussed and we come with some real solutions. And one of the things that I've always believed in is planning without implementation is hallucination. So we're going to make sure that we get to a point where you see some real progress on this project and on this community. So again, thank you for spending your evening with us. Please feel free to contact us. Come by the city manager's office. We'll be putting out pretty frequent email communications and newsletters and having coffee with the manager and town hall meetings. So there'll be a lot more interactions such as this. So again, please drive home safely. Thank you for being here with us this evening, and we'll see you hopefully on Sunday. Thank you.
I was newly elected into the city, and I wanted to bring some change, some quality change to our community, things that our community has never seen. An approach that would